Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Thursday, the 11th of September. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which is making slow but decent progress within that rising trend channel from June. Top of the channel there, heading for 94.75, and we're looking for that by the end of next month while we remain above the floor of the channel. 91.90, ideally we stay on the right side of 9200, which the market's currently doing. Had another RSI rebound above neutral 50, so that's an ongoing leading indicator on the upside. So hopefully we'll get to the top of the channel ahead of expectations rather than after expectations. There is a rug pull, the 50-day line there at 91.05 now, the worst case scenario that we're expecting. And I suppose that would take us back to where we were early last month. Moving along to the situation at the DAX, and here we've got the market struggling to hold the floor of that rising trend channel, so around 23,500. Probably more sort of expecting now a retest of either the August support there, 23,300, or the June floor there, 23,000, while we're below the falling 50-day line there, just above 24,000. RSI failures below neutral 50 also suggests that we've got a chance of rolling over at least to some extent. Moving on to the Dow, and here it's been about distancing ourselves, or trying to distance ourselves from the old 45,000 zone, the old resistance zone. We're above that quite comfortably now, looking at the top of the channel there from May last year, 47,500. Hopefully by the end of next month, maybe a bit sooner. On the downside, the 50-day line there, 44,700. That's the worst we're expecting. I suppose inconceivably the August support there, the 200-day line towards 43,300 are the worst case scenarios, but we haven't been below the 50-day line since the beginning of May, basically, apart from that little dip we had last month. And so this looks like still quite a bullish situation. Moving on to the cryptos, and starting off with Bitcoin, and here it's coming up against the 50-day line there. We've gone above RSI 50. We're just looking for end of day close above the 50-day moving average at 114. Above that, hoping for as high as $132,000 by the end of next month. Clearly, recent resistance has been in the upper teens, but the key here is breaking that 50-day moving average. On the downside, hoping that the floor of the channel there, currently at 108, will be the limit in terms of any pullback. On to Ethereum, where there have been hopes that we could outperform the situation at Bitcoin, and maybe at the moment we're trying to do that quite well. The rising trend channel there, around 43.50 currently. Above that, we're looking for 5,500 by the end of next month, which is the top of that July channel. And worst case at this stage is a rug pull towards the 50-day line, 41.90. RSI is at an extended rebound at and above the neutral 50 level, so this is looking very strong indeed, apart from the missing ingredient at the moment, which is an end of day close back above 4,500. That should be clear the logjam of resistance that we've had over the last 2 to 3 weeks. Gold is also, or has been, doing rather well of late, holding above 3,600. We're looking for 3,800 perhaps as soon as the end of this month. We were looking for it by the end of next month. And worst case at this stage is probably a test of the old April resistance, 35.11. Before we head higher again. Moving on to the stocks, and there's a lot of them. I had to sort of filter some out, so maybe one or two will get missed out, but one of the rises. But here we've got Bison with a rising trend channel from July last year. Top of the channel there at 94 pence. We're looking for that as soon as the end of this month, while we remain above the 50-day line at 65 pence. Haven't looked at Bango for a long time. I don't think anybody else has either, but we've gapped up above a rising 200-day line. In fact, both the 50 and 200-day lines starting to rise, so it looks like we're going into a golden cross. Top of the channel there as high as £1.30, which we're looking for by the end of next month, while we remain above recent broken resistance at 92 pence. You can see the double, triple RSI 50 rebounds that we had ahead of the push to the upside that we have at the moment. Got trolled on Contango a few weeks back when I suggested it might be a turnaround situation. In fact, we managed to hold the floor basically at 0.8 pence, and given that every other explorer and developer has gone through the roof in the recent past, it would be unfair if Contango didn't follow suit. Top of the best case scenario target there, 1.75 pence by the end of next month. If we can get a quick break of the 200-day line there at 1.08 pence. But ideally, whatever happens now, we stay above the rising 50-day line at 0.92. On to EnergyPathways, which seems to be back in business. So with a decent move today, what the only missing ingredient to the moment on the technicals is that we need to get an end of day close back above recent resistance, 2.6 pence. That was the old October support. That's become August, September resistance. End of day close above 2.6. We could be looking at 3.7 pence, and maybe one or two people are guessing that there may be some better news than for September than there was back in August, which wasn't great. On to FeverTree, which had a brave update today. We've got a bear trap item reversal, so gapping down last month and gapping up now above a rising 50-day line. Suggests that we could get up to the £9 level, which is that resistance line there from back in July. The only thing missing at the moment is that we may need an end-of-day close above the RSI 50 level. We're just below that at the moment. Ideally, whatever happens, recent broken resistance at £8.20 or so should be held to get us that move through £9. Hamak is next, and after quite a couple of very high-profile appointments, so we see the shares rising again. One wonders who will be the next to be on the headed note paper. Perhaps the Archangel Gabriel is now available for directorship work, but in the meantime, we've got the shares breaking that line of resistance there at 4.3 pence. Above that, we're looking for a retest of the highs, 7 pence plus by the end of next month. But ideally, we do stay on the right side of that 50-day line and 4 pence if we can. 50-day line there at 3.85 pence. We had an RSI rebound, 50-day rebound as well, so that is a leading indicator on the upside. On to Harena, where I interviewed Ivan today. Actually, that's just come out. And here you can see that we have a rising trend channel here from back in the basically late part of the spring. RSI is pushed above the neutral 50 level. We've also had the share price bounce above the rising 50-day moving average. Top of the channel there at 2.1 pence. That's what we're looking for. Perhaps as soon as the end of this month, while we remain above the 50-day moving average. On to Haydale, and here you can see that we've bounced off the floor of a rising trend channel, breaking through that 50-day line as well, or trying to, and we can do that at 0.62 pence, looking for as high as 1.2 pence by the end of next month. It's a punchy call, but it's a punchy chart too at the moment for Haydale. Mast is next, which I looked at in a great request show yesterday. It was all about the 50-day line there at 94 pence, which it's still apparently all about that too. But the main thing, I suppose, at the moment is that we stay above the previous target and the yesterday's support area, stay above the sort of the upper 50s, low 60s. End of day close to £1 is probably what we're looking for now to get through and retest the best levels after what I thought was a bit of a overtly or overly negative RNS warning, which didn't really mean very much at all, unless you were the regulator. Moving on to a Nuformix, which I think can be upgraded now to the channel there, top of the channel there, 0.26. Looking for that while we're above recent resistance around 0.11, which is a nice thing to shoot for by the end of next month. RSI 50 rebound, as you can see there, 50 and 200-day lines both rising, so that looks like it is back in business. Quantum blockchain has also delivered one of its periodic spikes. Main resistance here at 1.25 pence, but actually looking for the shares to get up to 1.6 pence by the end of this month. Looks as though this is a serious rebound there. Fill the gap up to 1.6 by the end of this month. Ideally, we stay on the right side of the 50 and 200-day moving averages there at 0.8 pence. On to Smarter Web, which actually, on the quiet, managed to hit the old support there, the old £1.72 July support there. That has become resistant, so we need an end-of-day close above that to give us the best-case scenario target, £2.17. But obviously this company likes issuing more equity and raising money for buying Bitcoin, so any strength, as we've seen now, probably a cue for that. Ideally, in terms of the upside scenario, we stay above recent broken resistance around the £1.40 mark. On to Sealand, which seems to be bubbling up a bit at the moment. Here you can see that we've been charting it a bit with the shares breaking through recent resistance around the 0.45 pence level. Above that, looking for up to 0.67, which is the top of that rising trend channel base from back in June. RSI has remained above the neutral 50 levels. That does suggest there's something positive going on there over and above the way that the 50-day line is starting to rise. One of the best rises of the last 24 hours, really did it on the quiet, is and has been TAP Global, which has come back from the dead. One can say here you can see that we've broken through the 50-day line and also recent resistance around 2 pence, above 2 pence, looking for a long awaited retest of the 3.5 pence zone, hopefully by the end of this month. The shares finally responding and behaving perhaps as they should in a bull market for cryptos. Finishing off a TinyBuild, and here you can see we've had a breakout through resistance for the gap. Top of the channel there, heading for 12 pence, which is what we're looking for by the end of this month, while we remain above the December resistance at 7 pence. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.